Find our complete schedule all the way to the state finals in Indy at 1380thefan.com. Broadcasting live from the Masters Heating and Cooling Studios. This is WKJG 1380 AM, 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Fan. This is a presentation of Fort Wayne High School sports on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. The Hoopy Insurance Services High School Coaches Show. Hoopy Insurance, our family serving your family for over 40 years. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everybody, to the High School Coaches Show. I guess we can call it the High School Basketball Coaches Show now that we have flipped the calendar from fall sports to winter sports, and we're talking high school basketball, both girls and boys, here every week from 7 to 8 o'clock, and a full show coming up for you this evening. We'll start here in just a second with Brice Vance, our buddy from OutsideTheHuddle.net. He was here to talk football, and now he's going to talk basketball with us and break down some of the action that's gone on for now over a full month for girls basketball and a couple weeks now for boys basketball. So we'll touch on some talking points early on in the boys season and also the girls season and how that's gone through the first month of the season. 6:15, Matt Roth, head coach of the Blackhawk Christian Braves, will join us. We'll talk about the dedication ceremony of Mark Davidson Court at Blackhawk Christian and also how the season has gone thus far. Of course, Matt stepping in for the late Mark Davidson, who we all lost to cancer earlier this year. And we'll talk about that transition and how Matt's doing and also how the team is doing, off to a 2-0 start with two impressive wins over Northside and New Haven. Byron Pickens talking about impressive performances to start off the season. Wayne is at 2-0. Only 4 wins all of last year, already halfway there. We'll talk to Coach Pickens about the Generals, a very young group last year, started some freshmen and sophomores, and now seem to have picked up where they left off last year, a year better, a year more seasoned, a year more mature, and his team off to a good start this season thus far. We'll wrap it up 6:45. Head coach Rod Parker of the Homestead Spartans, his girls team, playing tremendously good basketball. It looks like the SAC will come down to Homestead and Northrop. We'll talk about his team's season thus far and this weekend and the challenges they have. And let's jump into it. Right away, we talk to our buddy, Mr. Brice Vance, who's on the phone with us. Brice, how are you?
I'm doing great, Justin.
Hey, we're living the dream, and we've officially entered basketball season, and there's been a lot of basketball to get caught up on. And I guess for you, throw it at you right away in terms of girls basketball and kind of where we stand and what has stood out to you, because we're a good month into the season already.
Yeah, I think that, we've had some of the teams that we expected to be good, maybe great, have been that so far. And then you have, some of the surprises that have taken a step or have come out of nowhere and just been excellent to start the year. I think, first off, what I was just talking about at the start was the excellent teams that have, were kind of expected. You have, Northrop, you have the Homesteads, you have Fairfield, Norwell as well, that are all probably at the top of their conference. Jay County has been good, probably going to be the top team in the ACAC this year, and they've proven that thus far here early on, or here about halfway through, almost the halfway point for the girls. And I just, for some of those teams that maybe have been a surprise, Huntington North, after they graduated quite a bit this year, have picked up some really quality wins, including an overtime win over Homestead. And then you have a surprise like Central Noble. I did not expect them to still be undefeated at this point of the season. After a coaching change, it was Sam Malcolm. He's been a long-time assistant. He just didn't really know what they were going to be like with a veteran group coming back, led by Maddie Weiss and Megan Keeble. But being undefeated so far was definitely a surprise. I thought they'd be good. But I just didn't think they would be this good and be, a challenger to Fairfield in the NECC right now.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Sam Malcolm and Central Noble, your alma mater, and actually reached out to Sam to see if he could join us tonight. His little boy has a basketball game tonight. I said, yeah, you need to go there and cause a ruckus there. I'm sure he'll be yelling at the officials and everything if we know Sam. But in terms of what Central Noble's been able to do to get off to an 11-0 start, it's not exactly murderer's row, that schedule, but the fact that we're seeing this team have the dominance that it is having is no less impressive. I don't think we're talking about Central Noble right now being a 2A title contender, but it is very impressive what they've done through the first month of the season. Yeah,
no doubt. And I know coming into this season, Coach Malcolm put an emphasis on shooting the basketball and shooting it well. And that's what they've done. And on the other end of the floor, they're playing excellent defense. They're shutting teams down. And you mentioned that dominance, and they're not just beating these teams, by single digits. Some of maybe the lesser teams in the area are the more average teams in the area, but they're beating these teams by 15, 20, 25 points, and they're putting it on these teams because they're so excellent on defense. They've been athletic for the last, 3 or 4, maybe even 5 or 6 years now, going back to Sydney Freeman and Malia Leatherman. But those freshmen that started right after that group, Maddie Weiss and Megan Keeble, who I mentioned a moment ago, have been starters since day one, since they stepped on the floor as freshmen, and now they're really starting to put the hammer down. They're able to get everybody involved, including McKenna Malcolm, Sam's daughter, who came over from Garrett with him. And this team has just been shooting lights out from outside, including Megan Keeble, who got off to a really good start and is still shooting it very well. So it's a team that is shooting it well from outside and is playing excellent defense, and that's why they're undefeated at this point.
Brice, wanted to ask you about the Northeast 8, and very top-heavy on the girls' side. You have Belmont, Columbia City, Norwell, all sitting atop the conference. Of course, just one conference game has been played, but all three of those teams with just a single loss. Norwell lost to Homestead, Columbia City lost to Carroll, Belmont lost to Jay County. We'll see Columbia City and Norwell play tomorrow night in a big game in Ossian. So if we're handicapping this conference race right now, talking about those three teams, who has the edge right now, or is it too soon to say?
If I had to give a slight edge, I might say Columbia City, just because of their defense. And they are just a harassing type of defense that gets up in your face, forces a lot of turnovers, and is able to get the ball in transition and score the other way. Addison Baxter has been a nice addition, and the way that she's grown and improved as a player has been, really good for this team, that maybe in tough times last year where they lacked some scoring or some outside shooting, she's provided that lift for them, and then done a great job. And they've picked up where they've, left off the last couple of years where they've been playing, as freshmen and sophomores and the gaining that experience. And now this team has taken it to a whole nother level. And for Norwell, for them to, compete and battle with Columbia City tomorrow night, I feel like that it's going to come down to the combination of Mackenzie Foose and Kennedy Fueling. So, and it just feels like those two players right there have been scoring at will. And it's been a really good dynamic duo. They had the one game against the Homestead team that was just a little bit more athletic, able to use their length on the perimeter and force a lot of turnovers and knock down a lot of shots. And Norwell just didn't have it going that night. But it feels like it's probably between those two, or probably would be my two picks to come out on top. But Belmont is right there, and I would say the way that Huntington North can come up and get somebody like they've shown against Homestead, it's just about, for them, it's just doing about consistent each and every night, because they would beat a Homestead and then they would pick up a loss. They just need to, and that's going to come with experience. There's a lot of new faces, around Taylor Double, who's been excellent so far this season. But for the NE8 race, it's probably going to come down tomorrow night.
Brice, wanted to ask you, too, about the Northeast Corner Conference. You mentioned Fairfield at the jump. We talked about Central Noble, but in terms of handicapping this race, Fairfield came 2 points away from advancing to the state championship game. Lost to Frankton by a single point in the semi-state last year, and this was a team that owned the majority of the NECC. Lost to Garrett was their only loss, and lost to Eastside in the NECC tournament as well last year. But is this going to come down once again to Central Noble and Fairfield? And who would have the edge? We have to wait until mid-January for those teams to play, at least in the regular season. But how do we handicap those two teams at the top of the NECC right now?
I just think it's probably Fairfield, just because we talked about the schedule of Central Noble and how it hasn't been the strongest, but they're still dominating. Fairfield has played some tougher opponents and handled their business as well. And I think Fairfield has a little bit more difficult schedule going, through the rest of the season as well, playing the likes of a Snyder team that's pretty good. But still, I would have to say they might have the best player, Fairfield does, in the conference, and in Bria Garber, who's, been on everybody's radar for, a handful of years now, and just been really excellent, been pretty consistent. The outside shooting of Bailey Willard has been excellent, and the defense has been really good for Fairfield as well. And I think that's probably the difference, from last year, is this team has picked it up a little bit more defensively, and they've been able to force teams to get out of what they want to do offensively. And they just have so many different players that have experience and have, been through this grind and were on that team last year that made it to semi-state. Now it's going to be a little bit more difficult as they jumped up to 3A this year to make another deep postseason run. But for the conference, I would still probably say it's Fairfield at the top, and then Central Noble a close second.
Brice, on the other side, we look at the Northeast Corner Conference. On the boys' side, Prairie Heights sitting up at the top. They're undefeated, 4-0, 2-0 in the league. Central Noble, 1-0 in the league, 2-0. Austin Kripe and Company, West Noble, yet to play an NECC game, but they're 4-0. Are those the trio of teams to watch in this league this season?
I have to say so. I would probably, if we're going to handicap it, I'd say probably West Noble is probably the best team to come out on top, just because they have, I believe, the best player in the conference and one of the best players in the area. Outside the huddle bounce put him Austin Kripe at number 1 in the area. So, and he's just able. He coming off a triple-double performance last night against Concord. The kid can do it all, and has just been. He's gotten some help as Braden Barth, played a little bit towards the end of last year, and has gained experience over the summer, and is really becoming a very good contributor, a very good big man down low, and he's only going to get better as the course of the season goes on. And they have, a lot of guys back from last year's team that was pretty successful as well. But then probably Prairie Heights right after that with Isaiah Malone and Chase Batchelor. Both those guys can score as well. Batchelor, probably another elite scorer, probably a top, 10 to 15 scorer in the area, can score at will. But they've played a lot of close games so far. I just don't know if everything after those two guys has come together quite yet, with other guys filling in and trying to pick up some of the scoring when Malone or Batchelor are in foul trouble or not, just not having an off night. They've played a lot of close games so far. So, but for them, I would have to say they're right after West Noble, and then for Central Noble, it's a lot of new guys and a lot of new roles. You don't have a Connor Season to rely on anymore to bail you out or score 30 every night. You're going to have different guys, but I think they have plenty of guys, including Connor's brother and Sam Season, who is I think going to take a jump this year, and guys like Connor Lemon, Jackson Andrews, both shooting it from the outside, and then Isaiah Gard, Logan Gard's little brother. I think is probably going to see a lot of time and gain a lot of experience this season as well. Probably after that, it's probably Westview, who has been a little bit of a surprise here. Brady Yoder, another good scorer after that. But I would expect probably those three teams that we talked about in depth, probably the more ones to come out on top and finish in some order. But I would have to say West Noble probably the best out of those three.
Brice, we have to wait a week until conference play begins on the boys' side in the Northeast 8. It'll be a week from tomorrow. But when we look at the NE8 right now, Columbia City, Norwell have looked good. New Haven has struggled out of the gate, but their schedule has been difficult. Haven't played a home game yet. They'll play Homestead at home on Saturday, and maybe they can make a big splash there. But when we look at the NE8 race, Is it
Norwell
Norwell the team to beat with Luke McBride?
Back.
Could Columbia City have something for them? I know Leo is always there.
That made its regionals, and it feels like that this team, and they got off to a rough start and losing to Carroll, which is another team that's taken a step forward with a lot of guys that played a lot last year. But for Norwell, I just think that experience. I think Luke McBride has taken his game up to another level. He's getting it done. I think he's probably close to averaging a double-double, scoring a lot of points, shooting it very well from the perimeter. I think in his I think last weekend made about 5 or 6 threes in a game, but he's also, a gritty rebounder as well, not afraid to get down there, get the rebound and get the transition game going. But it probably after that, I would have to say Columbia City with Alex Hedrick and what he's been able to do. He's just been a consistent player for the last 3 years. And has definitely, worked on his game over the summer and during the fall, and is probably one of those, top 5, top 10 scorers in the area. And then, we've seen Stratton Fuller, do what he did on the football field, and he's just showing that athleticism on the basketball court as well. And I think he's going to be a good second or maybe even third option for the Eagles this year, and just using his athleticism to score and defend. And help out Columbia City. I do like New Haven and what they have. A lot of pieces. Led by Darion Brooks. Who can score as well. Another one of the area's best scorers. It's just about having a lot of younger faces get in some new roles and get in some varsity time. And they might struggle, as you mentioned. They dropped a couple of games already against some good teams, but I think that's just only going to help them as the season goes on. And then for Leo, after their top 2, I think that they're going to have a pretty good season by the season's end. They just have, a lot of inexperience right now, but they should still be right in the thick of it towards the very end of the season.
Brice, you did a hell of a job making us think you know what you're talking about. Good job.
I tried, Justin. I tried.
Thanks for coming on, man. We'll catch up to you next week, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into the boys' side of things next week.
All righty, thanks, Justin.
All right, buddy. That was Brice Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net joining us as he does here each and every Thursday to get things started. We're going to take a break, come back. Matt Roth, head basketball coach of the Blackhawk Christian Braves, will join us. After this, you're listening to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
I can't think of any way to improve upon the service that I receive.
Gibson's Heating and Plumbing is your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer that is ranked #1 out of nearly 300 dealers nationwide in customer satisfaction. Here's what Gibson's customers are saying.
The office is always courteous. Gibson's service tech is exceptional in his attitude and performance, and is friendly and efficient as he follows up and explains what he's done that day and what needs to be done if there's going to be a follow-up. Kudos to Gibson's for their outstanding service.
Your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Gibson'sHeating.com.
Get organized with help from Menards and Dakota. Whether you need a spot for extra storage or want to add an accent to your living space, Dakota has the shelf for you. With a variety of attractive finishes, you're bound to find a shelf to match your style. Dakota also offers a wide array of customizable, easy-to-install closets for your renovation needs. Get yours today at Menards. Plus, get a Menards gift card, the perfect gift this season.
More seasons, greetings to you all from Menards.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Heavy uterine bleeding and iron deficiency anemia through the years.
Oh, I've been there.
Huh?
That sweater tied around your waist, I've been there. Heavy period.
Yeah, makes you wonder what women used to do.
Oh, I've been there.
Huh?
The record album you're using to cover your behind, I've been there.
Yeah, makes you wonder what women used to do.
Oh, I've been there.
Huh?
Your backward waitress apron, taking no chances. I've been there.
Yeah, makes you wonder what women... If you've been there, you get it. Excessive menstrual bleeding for 6 months or more is known as heavy uterine bleeding, or HUB. When you lose more blood, you lose more iron. HUB may lead to another medical condition called iron deficiency anemia, or IDA. Low iron from IDA can disrupt your everyday life with debilitating tiredness, headache, and weakness, but some people may show no symptoms. Learn about iron deficiency anemia and take a quiz to share with your doctor at I May Have IDA ImayHaveIDA.com. That's ImayHaveIDA.com. Brought to you by HealthyWomen.org and Daiichi Sankyo Inc.
This is the Hoopy Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High School Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny, here till 7 o'clock or so. We'll give way to the Matt Painter Show that will join us after the program, and then Raiders-Rams Thursday Night Football coming up later on this evening here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. We're talking high school basketball right now, and our next guest, Coach Matt Roth of the Blackhawk Christian Braves. Coach, how are you?
Hey, we're doing well. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Yes, sir, and congratulations off to a 2-0 start. We'll get to that in a minute, but wanted to ask you about the season opener against Northside, but the ceremony to dedicate the court to the late Mark Davidson, and I know he meant a lot to you, meant a lot to a lot of people in the community, particularly the Blackhawk Christian community, and what did that mean to have that honor to open your coaching career with the Braves?
Yeah, it was an incredible night. I mean, the school and the family as they organized and obviously dedicating the court to Mark and the whole process was just beautifully done. It was an emotional night on many different levels, and part of that was having the family and the boys and the Grace program back there to kind of rally around Frankie and Marcus on a night where the family could be celebrated, and the best part of the whole process, I just know the way they handled it, the way Mark's father spoke to both our program and Northside's program, and then all the fans in attendance. I mean, it was everything. You know, if Mark could have ever dreamt up a situation to have that platform to share his love for the game, his dedication to the game, and then dedication to the Lord, and knowing that his plans were always going to be carried out, I think it would have been a grand slam in terms of all those areas would have been checked. So it was an incredible night to be a part of. It was a special night for our community, our program, and certainly our boys to be able to be there and see that ceremony carried out so beautifully.
Matt, I wanted to ask you about, I don't know if it's pressure is the right word or responsibility maybe, but what do you feel in terms of following a guy like Mark, not just with the success he had at Blackhawk Christian, but what he meant to that community and the program and him being in very a lot of ways a larger than life type figure. You know, how do you handle that being the guy that's replacing him?
Yeah, I think the easiest way that I've kind of approached it is it doesn't matter if it's in the school setting or in the basketball setting. You know, my number one priority is to love the kids well. And that can be the kids I interact with in the school. It can be the guys I get to coach and lead in the basketball program. And that's something that Mark did so incredibly well. I mean, he genuinely loved everybody that was there. And he poured, you know, so much of his life into motivating and capturing the minds and hearts of young people. And so when I keep that as my primary focus, the rest of it kind of fades away into the background. You know, basketball it's a beautiful and easy game, and we overcomplicate it too often. And just being able to keep our focus on, you know, loving the kids well, building them up, teaching them to care for each other, and hold each other accountable, and all those great things that come in team sports. It all starts with, you know, on a day-to-day level of genuinely caring about the kids that I serve and get the opportunity to interact with. And keeping that as the main focus really allows me to not worry about the rest and trust that through that process, you know, all the details of the game will be carried out, you know, through practice and all of that. But if I can love them well, I know, I know Mark would, again, thoroughly approve of knowing that those kids in that community are cared for.
Matt, you're off to a good start with your group, wins over Northside and New Haven, two teams that we expect to compete in their respective conferences for league championships. What have you liked about your squad through this first two games?
Well, I think we've demonstrated a good ability. You know, we talk a lot about our firm foundations, And obviously there's the faith component of everything we do at Blackhawk, but then our firm foundations from a basketball standpoint of who we are, our identity, and what we want that to be this year. We've been really true to those in terms of being unselfish and playing for each other. We've got a talented bunch, and when we share the ball, we are a pretty special group to, one that I'm lucky to get to coach. So I feel like we've been true to that. We've had different players step up and make big plays, and we've been able to just stay in the moment and take, stride for stride, opening night, all the emotions of a season opener, and then you put the ceremony and just all the weight of that whole situation in there. The guys stayed in the moment. They were able to take a deep breath, and when that ball went up, they were able to relax a little bit and just be kids and play the game. And that was a lot of fun to coach, but also a lot of fun to be able to take a step back and watch them compete and pour their heart and soul into the game that night.
Coach, Gage Sefton has been very good. Josh First has been very good, but wanted to ask you about Kellen Pickett, the sophomore, scored 24 points for you in that win over Northside, then 12 against New Haven. The sophomore 6'8" forward has been tremendous. What kind of player is he for those that aren't familiar in this area? And are these expectations for him at the level of a guy that's going to produce like this each and every night?
Well, I think part of the things that are going to benefit him are the guys he gets to play next to. I'm sure I could go through a list of sophomores in the area who'd love to play with Gage and Josh and Jimmy, to have three senior leaders who are tremendous basketball players and three of the most unselfish guys you could have in terms of returning starters. They've played big-time moments. They've been in big situations, and they treat Kellen just like one of the guys that's been there alongside with them, even though he's younger. And so that leadership, I think, is going to allow Kellen to continue to play up to his potential. I mean, the sky's the limit when you're 6'8". You've got great length. You can play inside out. And then when you throw that all together with the fact that he's playing with three seniors that are as good as anybody in the area in terms of basketball and toughness and leadership, it kind of takes some of the burden off of him, where he can go out there and be a sophomore and play through some growing pains, and know that his senior leaders are going to be there to rally around him and build him back up.
Coach, after 2 home games to open the season, you guys won't play at home for a while, not till the 29th of this month. You go to LCC this weekend, Southside Canterbury next week. You have Chesterton at the Grace College, and then the North Davies tournament right before the holiday. And so what do you want to find out about your group? It's going to be a 5-6 game stretch here on the road. It's a good test here earlier in the season. What do you want to see?
I just want to see us to continue to grow and not lose sight of who we are. Those foundations I mentioned a moment ago of who we are, those shouldn't change. It doesn't matter if we're playing, a game here or if we're down in the Bahamas playing like these college teams get to. Our identity as a team should travel. And once that identity starts to travel, then the rest of it all comes together. We've got a great group of guys. We're probably 7 guys deep right now, and we're working on building up, 1 or 2 more who can step in and give us some good minutes when we get on a battle on the road. But again, I've got senior leaders who have been on the road. They've been in tough environments. And we're kind of looking at it as just an opportunity. When you look at the schedule, we're away for a really long time, but we've got a lot of neutral court games. That's part of the beauty of our schedule at Blackhawk. And so while we're not at home, we know our faithful fans will be there to support us when we're at Grace, when we're at Shrine, across town with Canterbury. And so we'll be on the road, but we know we're going to have support. And ultimately, as long as we've got our foundations and our team together, we're ready to go on the road, neutral court. The boys they're 14 to 18-year-old kids. They just want to play the game. They don't care where the gym's located.
Matt, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you about a player that you spent a heck of a lot of time working with at your time at OPS. And Fletcher Lawyer has been a revelation to a lot of people around college basketball and in West Lafayette, but I don't think he's a revelation to you or I and what he is doing at West Lafayette for Purdue as their second leading scorer. What did you like about Fletcher's game leaving Homestead is one iota at the immediate impact he's had at the college level.
Yeah, no, he's off to a tremendous start. You know, it always pains me that some of these guys that I've worked with are in the gold and black, not, you know, a different color scheme. But I'm just really proud of him. He's really embraced his role. He's a player who, from the day I met him, you could tell right away just the way he carried himself, the way he worked. There wasn't going to be a stage that was too big for him. He's got a tremendous family. He's been able to watch his older brother just do some remarkable things and battle and play. And so there's no surprise to see him doing what he's doing at that level. And, you know, when I talk about my team and you look at that Purdue team, they've got so much in their upperclassmen and their leaders that for these young guys, they can come in and really focus on their role. And if they can buy into their role, their supporting cast from their leadership is tremendous. So it's a lot of fun to watch him compete, watch him play. Certainly no surprise that he's off to a great start. You know, they've got a good thing going down there. And so it's fun to watch. And other than the color scheme not always being appealing on my eyes, it's a lot of fun to watch and watch Caleb and some of those guys compete at that level.
Hey, Kareem and Crimson aren't doing too bad this year. So, you know, take some solace in that.
No, we're getting there. It's always good when those two programs are good in state.
All right, buddy. Hey, appreciate it. Always a pleasure talking to you. Good luck this weekend heading to Lafayette to take on Central Catholic.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on tonight.
That was Coach Matt Roth of the Blackhawk Christian Braves joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. His team 2-0 after wins to start the season over both Northside and New Haven. Both really good wins for Blackhawk Christian, and they'll be back in action this weekend. Another team that's 2-0 heading into tomorrow's visit to Snyder. That's the Wayne Generals. Head coach Byron Pickens will join us after the break. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopy Insurance Services here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
1380 The Fan is looking for our next all-star advertising account executive. Do you have what it takes to join the Fan? Text radio to 46862 right now. Text radio to 46862. Are you passionate about doing your best, working harder than everyone else, and you want the rewards that come with a sales career with the Fan? I'm talking real money, including a $5,000 sign-on bonus if you're good enough to sell advertising on Sports Talk 1380 The Fan. Do you have the sales experience in retail, customer service, or business sales? You could be the one advertising sales all-star we hire. Text radio to 46862. We invest in you before you start on the job when you take our free sales talent assessment. Text radio to 46862. Our advertising sales reps enjoy flexible paid time off, a work-life balance that your friends will envy, and all the usual benefits. Someone's going to get a $5,000 sign-on bonus and an all-star career on the Fans advertising sales team. Will it be you? Federated Media, an equal opportunity employer.
Shield Exteriors, home of the True Lifetime Warranty, wants to give you a Christmas of a lifetime. Text the word SHIELD to 46862 and register to win a grand prize of $15,000 in holiday cash.
Shield Exteriors Roofing, protecting what matters most.
Menards is your plumbing headquarters. Complete your bathroom update with Delta. Replace your old faucet with a new cat-free bathroom faucet from Delta. Its Spot Shield technology uses antimicrobial protection that keeps your faucet staying cleaner longer by resisting water spots and fingerprints. Delta faucets are easy to install and last twice as long as industry standards. Get yours today at Menards for $89.99. Price is good through December 18th. Plus, get a Menards gift card, the perfect gift this season.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith. Pro Football Hall of Famer and 3-time champion. Trust me, I know about joint pain.
Pro Football's all-time leading rusher Emmitt Smith talks about chronic joint pain and exciting new regenerative treatments from QC Kinetics.
I know what it's like to fight through pain, but now, you and I, we have help. QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced, all-natural regenerative medicine that can give you lasting relief with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Do you suffer with constant pain from arthritis or injury? Pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or lower back? Don't assume steroids, pain meds, and surgery are your only options. Regenerative, restorative, natural solutions are now available.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love.
Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation and learn how regenerative medicine can repair and restore damaged joint tissue.
Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 260-333-9383. That's 260-333-9383. 260-333-9383.
Have a sluggish or underperforming furnace? It's time to call Masters Heating and Cooling and save $50 on any paid repair over $250.
And Masters services all makes and models.
Want a second opinion from a name you can trust? Masters has a free second opinion on failed heat exchangers or condemned furnaces, plus an apples-to-apples price match guarantee on new equipment. For more information, look them up online at mastersheatcool.com.
We are Masters.
It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know ticks suck. But what you might not know is that they don't just suck blood way out in the woods. Those creepy little bugs can be anywhere, all year long. And I do mean little. They can be smaller than the head of a pin. But big trouble comes in these small, gross packages. Even a tiny tick can make you super sick. So what's the most important tip to avoid getting bit? Well, duh, pay attention. Remember, ticks can be just about anywhere outdoors. Then, spray attention with an EPA-registered insect repellent. Wearing long socks and other protective clothing is a good idea, too. When you come back inside, shower. And always remember, check for ticks everywhere. And if you do get a tick bite, don't panic. Tell an adult. And visit ticksuck.org to learn how to remove it properly. Ticks suck, but being outdoors shouldn't. Go to ticksuck.org for more information. Ticksuck.org.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus. So if you have a fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going in. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. The hard part was determining that I was going to do it, but I definitely didn't do it alone.
At age 30, with the help of her mentor, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
I have a mentor, Maria. She convinced me to continue my education and to finish what I started to get my diploma. Just never judges. She's a true role model. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
If you're a veteran looking to file for your service-connected benefits through the Department of Veterans Affairs, don't go it alone. AMVET's highly trained service officers stand ready to walk you through the process at VA regional offices around the country, helping you to navigate the complex VA system free of charge. With new presumptions for Agent Orange exposure and other conditions, AMVETS can offer you the advice you need to finally receive all of your earned benefits. In 2009 alone, AMVETS helped process more than 65,000 claims and appeals, securing more than $410 million in benefits. To find your nearest AMVET service officer or to learn more, visit AMVETS.org.
Now back to the Hoopy Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody. The High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopy Insurance Services. Efforting Coach Byron Pickens here of the Wayne Generals. Coach, if you are listening, give us a call. Check your direct messages on Twitter. And that'll have instructions on trying to get a hold of us. Tried to call him and kept getting an error, so not sure what's going on there, but hopefully hear from Coach Pickens here shortly. Also, we'll talk to Rod Parker, head coach of the Homestead Spartans, here in just a few minutes, towards around 6:45 or so. But wanted to talk to Coach Byron Pickens because his team's sitting 2-0 to start the season in the SAC, and a big game coming up tomorrow at Snyder's. We open up the league slate in the SAC, and a lot of questions because in the preseason we looked at what Homestead had lost and thought maybe we wouldn't have Homestead to deal with this season, but it definitely has kind of turned around, and for Homestead, they're there. Wayne is there. Carroll is there. And is this Coach Pickens on the line with us?
It is Coach Pickens. How are you?
Not bad, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I was just talking about the SAC and getting it started officially in terms of league play tomorrow. But, man, you guys haven't had a home game yet, but you've done pretty well. Road wins at Leo and at Culver. Impressive to start the season, 2-0. How do you feel about your group?
You know what? This group is young, and I think they learned a lot of lessons from last year, and just the situations that we were put in last year is kind of helping us be who we are this year. So I'm really excited about seeing us take on the challenges of the SAC.
Coach, it's a fickle city in terms of everybody wants instant gratification. You went really young last year and finished 4-18. It takes a unique set of kids, I think, to buy in and say it's going to get better. And so far, so good this year. And what was that message to those guys? Because we see it so many times. Program struggles, kids goes elsewhere. So how did you keep these guys locked in and improving?
Well, the first thing is we're just very honest with our kids. So last year we told them it was about growth. We knew that we had a little potential, but it was very senior heavy in the SAC last year as well as everyone else we played. So we just wanted to make sure that we didn't focus on the wins and losses, but we focused on the progression of our boys. So, whether that's strength and conditioning, getting extra shots up, and we just tried to let them make sure that those were the goals outside of always just winning.
The freshmen you went with last year, Coach, and talking about Chase Barnes and Preston Comer and H.J. Dillard, and now sophomores, seasoned sophomores, right? They got plenty of action as freshmen. They should have no issues now.
Well, that's what we hope. That's what we hope, definitely. But H.J. and Chase, we put a lot on their shoulders last year, and it takes a special character to take on the challenges of being leaders on the varsity team. And to bring in Preston this year as a transfer from Lure, and just watching all of our guys kind of, just try to teach him everything that we taught them last year, is just a sight to see. So, I think we're just lucky with the type of kids we got, just high character and high quality kids.
And somebody else I wanted to ask you about, and a guy who runs the offense in a lot of ways, is Javon Lewis, and a guy that as a sophomore got plenty of playing time. What have you seen out of him early on this year to feel confident that he can really be that guy to distribute the basketball and score when need to as well?
Absolutely. Well, Javon's actually been a starter on varsity since his freshman year. A lot of people don't realize that. And a lot of our terminologies, Javon has heard more than anyone. So as far as him, running the team, he's becoming a lot more of a leader this year. He's stepping up. He doesn't get frustrated with himself when he doesn't make shots, and he's actually being a motivator. So we just want to we're just pouring into him and pouring into Monty Smith and allowing them to kind of be the leaders on the court, and then we just handle the sideline.
Yeah, you mentioned Monty Smith, and a senior, one of your few seniors, and a guy that's leading the way in a lot of ways, leading this team in scoring through 2 games. But how big of a presence has he been as a 12th grader with all of these young guys below him?
Yeah, Monty is unique because he didn't have a ton of great teachers because he played JV, and then he was kind of just thrown on varsity his sophomore year and junior year. He had a really, really good summer. And all we needed was Monty to just get his confidence. Once Monty started believing in himself, it was easy for everyone else to believe in him. And since he has that confidence, you can see it through the team. It's trickling down to everyone.
Coach, how big was the summer? Everybody plays, but sometimes you're missing guys here or there. But, talking to some people around the city around the summer, they're saying, man, Wayne looks so good. Wayne looks so good. How important was that summer and to have the majority of your guys with you?
The summer was one of our goals. Summer was partially how we taught the boys how to win. We played a pretty good schedule this summer, and that's something that the boys never really got a chance to do, or the kids at Wayne really never got a chance to do. They just wanted to make sure that people are serious. I mean, these boys are gym rats. Outside of the posts that we do on Twitter and all those things, these boys are doing a lot of work behind the scenes. So the summer was very instrumental on their progress this year.
All right, Coach, you get the SAC schedule started in earnest. You go to take on Snyder tomorrow and Coach Roush. And what do you guys have to be ready for? Snyder's only played one game. It was last night, so I'm sure you've been poring over film from just last night. So what do you know about the Panthers, and how do you prep for them?
Well, Jeremy Roush he's an excellent coach. His teams are usually always ready when it's time for conference. So we know that we're going to be in a dogfight tomorrow. They're gonna probably pressure us and try to make us do some things that we're uncomfortable with. So what we're trying to do is just make sure that we just limit our turnovers, but also play the game that we want to play.
Coach, I appreciate the time, man. Thanks a lot for joining us. Congratulations on the 2-0 start, but I know you're not satisfied, and you'll look for 3-0 tomorrow. And anytime Jeremy Roush loses, I'm happy, and I'm sure he'll laugh at that, so don't worry.
Okay, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, bye.
That was Coach Byron Pickens. No, I love Jeremy Roush. I love Coach Roush. But that'll be a good game tomorrow with Wayne and Snyder. And as I was talking about at the break, looking at these other teams in the SAC, Carroll won two games all of last year. They're already 2-0. Wayne won 4 games last year. They're 2-0. Homestead's Homestead. They're there. Northside, we felt, could be there. They're 1-2 to start the season off. Could it be Concordia? And they got owned early in the season just a couple weeks ago by Northwood. But Northwood's one of the best 3A teams in the state. Concordia hasn't even played a home game yet. They'll host Carroll tomorrow in what is a very intriguing matchup. So there's a lot to figure out in the SAC. I don't think there's a dominant team. Even when you look at Homestead, and they're the highest ranked team in the state, but I just don't think they're a dominant team that is going to win this league going 9-0. So it could be a very fascinating regular season schedule for the SAC and battling every Friday night for that championship. Going to take a break. We'll keep it in the SAC. We'll talk on the girls' side with Rod Parker, head coach of the Homestead Spartans. We come back. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
The Sports Rush with Brett Rump.
Comets coach Ben Boudreau, where's the team at now that we've passed Thanksgiving?
If you look at the last 3 weekends, we've obtained 9 out of 14 points. It puts us at a 600 winning percentage. If you can put more stretches like that throughout the season, at the end of the year, you're going to find yourself exactly where you need to be.
The Sports Rush with Brett Rump. Listen every weekday at 4 on Fort Wayne Sports Station. Listen live at 1380thefan.com.
Why do we ignore the things that give us pause, that seem out of place, that don't feel right? The answer to why defines who we are. So if you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends.
For my community.
For my family.
For each other. Because all of this matters. We all have something worth protecting. So why do you see safe? Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
What is your healing power? Maybe your healing power is helping veterans with PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, depression, anxiety, or loneliness. Is your healing power a simple, heartfelt letter or being a volunteer? It is estimated that over 500,000 current warfighters will return from service diagnosed with PTSD, and 22 veterans will commit suicide every day. Our veterans have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country. At healvets.org, you can find out more about the healing power of pen pals, volunteers, therapy kits, and more. Discover your healing power at healvets.org. Help Heal Veterans, together with you, has been helping one recovering veteran at a time. We are helping veterans heal together. What is your healing power? To find out about your power, visit healvets.org. This PSA is sponsored by Help Heal Veterans.
This is the Hoopie Insurance Services High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Insurance Services. I'm Justin Kenny here for about 10 more minutes, and we'll give way to National Fox Sports Radio at the top of the hour, and then Thursday Night Football later on this evening. It'll be the Las Vegas Raiders and the Rams from L.A. You can hear all the action here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Tomorrow night, you can hear high school basketball here on 1380 and 100.9 FM. It'll be from Homestead High School, and it'll be a doubleheader with the Bishop Dwenger Saints playing Homestead at 6 on the girls' side. Boys to follow. Head coach of the Homestead Spartans on the girls' side is Coach Rod Parker. Joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Justin.
Excellent, Coach. 9 games in. You've been around a minute or two. Is 9 games enough? Do you feel confident that you know what your team is, or do you still have some questions?
Well, I think the big thing is now I know what my team's capable of, and the thing that we're striving for is being able to do it consistently. But, yeah, we've got some nice pieces. I think we've played some good basketball so far this year, and unfortunately we've had a couple lapses where I think we could have been better, but, we're still early in the season, and we want to work every day to get just a little bit better.
And, Coach, 2 back-to-back losses at Noblesville and then that Huntington North game in overtime. But you bounced back pretty good. Went to Pike and got a win, but especially that win last week at Carroll was very impressive.
Yeah, and that was a very pivotal game for us, when I look at our overall season. A big conference game on the road at Carroll, which is a big rival, as we all know, for Homestead. And they've got a great team this year as well. So it was an important one for us. I thought it was a game where our kids showed a lot of resiliency, a lot of adversity, as it was a game that had a lot of momentum swings in it. And we were fortunately able to weather a couple of their runs and at the end make the big plays we needed to in the last couple of minutes to come out on top.
Coach, one thing that I've always loved about your program, and you can always identify the young girls that get playing time as freshmen or sophomores and knowing that they're going to develop. And that's easier said than done, but just knowing that they're going to be players when you need them as seniors. And you look at Allie Stevens, who's had a phenomenal couple years. Molly Stock has gotten better. Evie Bottoms, too, has really come along to be a trusted member of your lineup. And it's just cool to see. And I know you think, well, every team has that, but it just seems like a little bit different in Homestead because you just know these girls are going to improve. And this senior group, I've seen them grow over the course of 4 seasons, and it's cool to see them having the impact that they're having now.
Yeah, most definitely. And, that's the goal. And, when kids come into the program, obviously I have high expectations of them, and many of them early in their careers, with the obvious potential of what they're going to be able to do throughout their 4 years. And to continually become the players we need to stay and remain as one of the top programs in the area, but then also to provide that leadership for the younger kids who come on behind them, which we definitely have this year in a kind of a really unique team because our bookends of our senior class and our freshman class are really important and have a lot of contributors in those 2 classes.
And, Coach, when you lose an All-American like Ayanna Patterson who moved on last year, was there a marked change in scheme after losing such a big presence, literally and figuratively, on the floor, or is it pretty much the same operating procedure for Homestead this year?
You know what? We've actually changed quite a bit this year. Ayanna was just an incredible player, an incredible talent, but I guess I probably didn't realize as much during her 4 years how we relied on her to do so much for us. And we kind of a couple of our trademark characteristics in our program that I thought we were always really good at kind of diminished a little bit because Ayanna could cover things up. And so last summer it was kind of an eye-opener that we had to kind of get back to some basics and try and get some grit, on both ends of the court out of all 5 players that were out there competing. So we've changed some stuff. We've changed some things offensively to try and get the ball moving, get more people involved. And we definitely have a team that's very balanced. Anybody can score on our team right now. and that's a kind of refreshing thing.
Did you find it where girls were maybe falling into that, okay, just get it to Ayana or she'll handle it type thing? Is it something you had to break them of?
Yeah, 100%. I probably said at least a dozen times last June, Ayana, she's gone, guys. She's not here anymore. I mean, we would get in situations where we needed a basket and a possession would kind of stall out on the offensive end where I think they were just looking around for her, to get her the ball and so on. So we kind of had to restructure our mindset, but I think our kids have responded very well to it. And as you mentioned, our senior class has really grown over their 4 years, and they're stepping up and taking advantage of their opportunity now that it's theirs, in their final year. And that's always exciting to see as a coach when kids grow in your program and make contributions.
Did you find yourself falling into that too over the summer? Okay, we just rely on Ayana. Oh, crap, she's not here anymore.
Yeah, well, I quickly realized how much we previously relied on it. That's what hit me. But, yeah, and like you said, I've been fortunate. I've coached a lot of great players in this program who have gone on to play at the next level and so on. And you have to learn to adapt. That's what all high school coaches have to do when we get different teams every year. And that's kind of, I think, one of the things that's kind of refreshing and fun as a high school coach is you have to adjust, and so on to each team and the talents that you have from year to year and the weaknesses that you have from year to year. And so this has been a fun group. I really enjoyed coaching them. They're very cohesive, great camaraderie and so on. And that there right there is about as rewarding as anything when you can coach a group of kids that have all that, want to come in and work hard together.
Coach Rod Parker, Homestead Spartans, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopy Insurance Services. Coach, you mentioned that freshman group, and it very much is a group with a lot of talent and a lot of potential. Maya Epps, Whitney Ankenbrook, Gabby Helsum, to name a couple of them. How do you evaluate, I guess, the freshmen and what they can handle on varsity and what they're not ready for, and how do you balance that, getting them experience without having them be exposed?
Well, that's a challenge every night, and the thing about young kids like freshmen and the three that you mentioned is you do have to let them play through some growing pains. And we've done that a little bit this year, but they're already getting better. You see it in practice usually first, and then it lends into the games and the competitiveness and so on. And fortunately, we do play a very good schedule, and by playing that type of schedule, they do grow up quick. They have to. And, now that we're closing in on the halfway point of our season, my expectation of them is they're really no longer freshmen. You've logged a lot of varsity minutes. I know they've played a ton of basketball leading into their high school careers, in our program and so on. So it's the expectation of them is the same as the expectation is of my upperclassmen as far as their performance. Maybe not the leadership, but as far as the effort and the performance, there's high expectations of them if they're going to be on the court.
Coach, it's a back-to-back weekend for you, your first of the season. You get Bishop Dwenger tomorrow at home, and then you head to Ohio to take on Notre Dame Academy, which has become a nice little rivalry for you over the last several years. So what are the keys to get a couple dubs here in the next couple days?
Well, tomorrow night is a game where, hopefully we can come out in the first, boy-girl doubleheader of the year. SAC is a lot of fun and then really play hard. And play both ends of the court. I think that, defensively, if we stick to our game plan, we can make things a little bit difficult for, Bishop Dwenger. And obviously, we got to move the ball and do the things that we want to do on the offensive end. But, when we transition into Saturday, we're going to go up and play a completely different style basketball game. It's a team that's very athletic, very aggressive, and is really known for their different defensive schemes. So taking care of the basketball is going to be a big thing for us on Saturday. Handling the pressure that they're going to apply for 84 feet is going to be a big thing for us. So I'm really excited for that opportunity, on Saturday as well as what we have in front of us tomorrow.
Coach, it's been an exciting season with the new digs and the new gym, and so much has been said about the fan experience and the media experience. What about the coach experience? How has it been in the new gym?
You know what? It's a great facility. I think our administration in Southwest Allen did a great job putting everything together they have for our student athletes, from the gym, the weight room, just from the overall athletic experience. So it's been fun. It's been enjoyable. It's been refreshing. It is a little bit different being in such a big space on game night. Our old gym had a lot of energy in it. It was, pretty tight and loud. And now we got a much bigger space, but it's also just fantastic for practice. I I mean, to go in and have the resources and space that we have now, really gives our kids a great opportunity to grow and develop as players and as a team compared to the spaces we've had in previous years. So it's been great. We've really enjoyed it. I think we're still in a little bit of a honeymoon period because things are nice. And it just seems like every week something new is being added, even just from branding to, more stuff that's going to be going into the gym. But it was long overdue and very excited to be a part of the change and experience we have now at Homestead.
And has the parking situation got...
Podcasts by Federated Media.